Hi, and welcome to August. Welcome to the August Aging Well. We're so glad you're here. I hope everyone's been having a great summer, safe, trying to stay cool anyway. But thank you. Thank you for spending this hour with us. And I don't know about y'all, but I really enjoy the music that's playing right before we start. We always do that countdown just so people, especially new folks who are joining us, know they're in the right spot. But I will tell you, while it's playing, I'm just sitting back here kind of jamming. So I'm glad my camera's always off so y'all won't see that I have no rhythm at all. But I hope you enjoy it, because that's because of Tom Roth, a member of our team that is a techno god. He is awesome. We could not do this without him, or Courtney Hayes, or Audrey Belfaro. These are all the rock stars on the Aging Well team. You see me, but they're the ones doing all the work, creating the magic, if you will. So thank you so much for being here. We're hearing the updates with the Delta variant of COVID. So, we had hoped that maybe we could be back in person in October. That may or may not be possible. But what we want to assure you is that we're going to keep these virtual sessions going indefinitely. As long as we're meeting your need, as long as you're learning something and we're having fun together, we're going to keep them going. We have got a great program for you tonight, really fun program. And I will tell you this on the front end, we've had fun having these chefs literally from around the world cooking for us. And so tonight we have a wonderful chef, Pedro Collado. He is the executive chef at Cibo Trattoria. There's just certain words that when you say them, you have to adopt that accent, and Trattoria is one of them. But he is, if many of you are familiar with Paul's Italian restaurant, I think it's been in Winston for almost 30 years. And when Paul died, the restaurant closed essentially. And so Pedro and much of the team at Cibo Trattoria, that is the team from Paul's. So those of you who loved Paul's and were sad when it closed, be sad no more, because they are downtown on Trade Street. And so they are, Pedro is making one of their most famous dishes. And again, many of you may know him from his days at Paul's, but if not, it's my pleasure to introduce you to Chef Pedro.
I'm glad to be part of Aging Well. Today we're going to make a snapper wine and linguine primavera. We're beginning with a snapper wine. We take a piece of shallow, a small piece of shallow, garlic, we smash it really good. We put an olive oil. I prefer the olive oil than the other oil. We put it in the fire for 1 or 2 minutes. Then we season it. We season the snapper. Put a parsley. We put salt, pepper, oregano, basil, and a little bit of red pepper, very little. It can get hot. You put a little bit of white wine. A little bit of chicken broth and beef broth, whatever you got at home. And we wait for the oil to get brown. Let me start the linguine primavera. We put an olive oil. We make the same process with the snapper. Put it in fire. And then we cut the vegetable. Put a zucchini. I already got the pepper can. You can buy red pepper, green pepper, or whatever you got at home. Put a little bit of green pepper and red pepper. We make the garlic brown, like a gold color. Then put the vegetable inside. For 1 or 2 minutes. Then we're going to put the snapper in the garlic. We do the same process, we make it brown. Cover the snapper for 5 or 7 minutes and then it'll be ready. We try to get a brown color. We put some salt and pepper and oregano. Put a salt, pepper, basil, oregano, and red pepper. We cover that. Then we're going to cook the pasta. Linguine, prefer linguine. We leave the pasta for 5 minutes. We cover that away. It'll be faster. We try to get like a brown color. A little bit of chicken broth, more. When the pasta, you can see when the pasta cook when it get together in the bottom. I'm going to put a little bit of chicken broth and beef broth. That's a very simple but very healthy. We dry out a little bit. I got some green bean already made like 5 minutes ago. Then we're going to serve the snapper with green bean and potato. Very simple, very healthy. I'm going to serve it in that plate. I got some roasted potato. For the snapper. Little bit of potato, little bit of green bean. After that you like cook the vegetable real good, you can throw it over. We wait for the linguine. Okay. The pasta beginning to change. It's not cooked yet, man. When it stick, it's almost ready. When it stick close together in the bottom, it's ready. It needs like one more minute. The snappers already ready. You see the snapper? We got pretty color. That's it, you drop it over there. That's it. Put a little bit of garnish. That's it. Now we're waiting for the linguine. The linguine beginning to stick together in the bottom. And we take it out. We put a little bit of the juice that we saute. We saute a little bit. That's it. It's very easy to make it. And very pretty too. Little bit of garnish. That's it. If you prefer, you can put a cheese if you want it. I prefer it without cheese. But if you want, you can put a cheese. Bon appetit. Can see in the restaurant, 529 3rd Street. You can come see that. My name is Pedro again. You can ask it for me. Thank you.
You know, I will say he might have been a little challenging to understand, is why one of the main reasons I like giving y'all the recipes in advance, because we have had French chefs, we have had Spanish chefs, and so we want to always take advantage of their expertise, but I want to also make sure it's easy for y'all to follow along. And also, these chefs sometimes make me nervous in the kitchen because he was using that towel as a hot mitt. So I would please say, don't use a towel. It was scaring me to death what these professional chefs can do and do so well. But I just know that given the chance, I would probably have started a fire if I was using a towel like that. And I want to let y'all know of something that I have had a couple of requests from attendees who have asked if we could do something more like a home cooked meal. And so some of you may know that my husband is a physician by training, but he is a chef by passion. And so he is going to lead us with our cooking demonstration next month. He is going to make one of my two favorite recipes. So I think he'll be very easy to understand. And his idea is he wants to make something that will be very easily achievable in everyone's kitchen. So stay tuned for that. He is a wonderful, wonderful home chef. So anyway, I've actually auctioned him off 3 different times for charities. So again, maybe we'll think about offering him for a home cooked meal as some kind of prize for aging well. But anyway, I know he's probably listening right now, probably shaking his head going, she did it again. But anyway, from a delicious meal to learning how to relax through yoga. Ruth Washam is a local certified yoga instructor who is leading us through kind of an intro, if you will, to yoga. And part of what we'll be sending in the follow-up notes are where you can take advantage of the full classes. But Miss Ruth, take us away and help us relax.
Thanks, Deb. Hi, everyone. It's nice to be with you here at Aging Well. We're just going to do a short yoga class for our aging population, me included. I would like everyone to come to the edge of their chair, to the front of their chair, with your legs and your knees bent, knee over ankle, sitting tall in the chair, stomach in, pulled up, shoulders up back and down. Take your arms to the side and lift them up to the sky. Touch palms. Bring them down in front of your chest for Anjali Mudra. Close your eyes. Bring your attention to your breath. Is it smooth? Is it ragged? Are you breathing normally, or are you elongating your breath? Feel the floor beneath your feet. Take a few more cleansing breaths in through the nose and out through the nose. Now bow the intelligence of the head to the compassion of the heart. Hands palm down on your thighs. Open your eyes and bring your gaze back into the room. Once again, take your arms out to the side and take them up to the heavens. Pretend you're climbing a ladder. Just bring those arms out of your shoulders and climb straight up. A couple more. Palms together. Now palms out. Press the air down. The impetus starts in your back, all the way down. Now bring your arms to the front. Take them up again to the sky. Right arm, bend at the elbow, touch the top of your shoulder. Left arm, palm back, touch your sacrum. I'll stand up and I'll show you where to position your hands. Take your arms up. Change arms. Left arm, touch the top of your shoulder. Right arm at your sacrum. Right hand at your sacrum. Again, you're sitting tall. And let's change. Let's do a few exercises for neuroplasticity. Change those arms back and forth. It's okay if you get mixed up. Who doesn't these days? And release all the arms. Now, if you will take your legs out to the front, straight in front of your chair with your ankles flexed. This is to help you. It's like a door jamb so that you don't slip out of your chair. And I want you to point your feet and flex. Point, flex. Point, flex, and bring them back in. Bend your knees again. Take your right leg in both your hands and do ankle rolls to the outside and ankle rolls to the inside. Take that leg in your right arm, your right hand, and take it out to the side and front. Lubricate those hip joints and front. One more time. Out and in, and sit it carefully on the floor. This time you take your left leg and bring it up. Sitting tall, ankle rolls. Outside and inside. Take that left knee in your left hand. Foot is flexed out to the side and front. Out to the side and front. One more time. Out to the side and front. and put your leg down. This time we're going to be doing cat-cow, hands on the knees. The cat-cow, when you do the cat, it's like the Halloween cat. Oh, your back is bent, and you can push a little bit on your knees. And when you do the cow, it's like an old saggy cow, and you can add leverage by pulling on your knees. Let's try that. Push back into your Halloween cat, and bring it forward into your cow, and back and forward one more time, back and forward. All right. Bring your right leg out to the side. Bring your arms up and out, and windmill them. Bend your right elbow, lie it on your right thigh, and your left arm is up to the ceiling. Warrior two. And bring yourself back upright, arms down, meet that leg, and take the other side. Arms up and out. Reach, bend that elbow, and the right arm goes up to the ceiling. And back up. Let's start on this side and do Trikonasana, which is triangle pose. Your legs are out at a 45-degree angle. Your ankles are flexed. Your arms come up, out, and they windmill, and you touch your leg. Looking up at that hand in the sky. Come back down. Bring your legs in. Go back to your right. Push them out straight. Arms up and out. And windmill with your left arm up. And stop. And bring your arms down. Your legs back in. And come back to the front. For a warm down, we're going to put our legs out to the front. We're going to walk our arms down our legs to get a stretch in the back of our thighs. You can let your head drop. And push yourself back very carefully up, one arm at a time, one arm at a time. And bend your legs. Sit back a little bit in your chair. And cross your right leg over your left leg. Right hand on the knee, left hand on the ankle, foot is flexed. And leverage yourself forward, hinging at the hips. You'll feel a stretch in that right buttock. And come back up. Change legs. No fast movements. Left on the knee, right on the ankle. And leverage yourself forward, hinging at the hips. And bring yourself back up. And let your feet both hit the floor, feeling that floor beneath you. Scoot back a little bit in your chair. It's time for Shavasana. Shavasana means corpse pose. So just relax in your chair, close your eyes, You could lie on the floor if you choose, with your legs elevated. And as you go through Shavasana, bring your attention to the crown of your head and imagine that there were little rivulets of water or oil coming out of a hole, moving down the side of your head, just relaxing your body as they go. The forehead, the little muscles around the eyes, your cheeks, your jowls, even your lip and your tongue. Relax your neck and your shoulders, your back, your buttocks, your thighs, all the way down to your feet and your arms. And your hands can be placed on your thighs or they can just be hanging. Give yourself up to that chair or the floor. You can do Shavasana. You can be here for 5, 10, 15 minutes, however long you choose. But for today's purposes, we're going to come out, wiggle those fingers and toes. Bring yourself back up, sitting tall and straight in your chair. If you're on the floor, roll to your right side and push yourself up with your top hand. You can sit back in your chair, or you can sit cross-legged, whatever's more comfortable for you. Bring your hands back to Anjali Mudra. Take a deep breath. I hope you learned something. If you'd like to join me, if your appetite is whetted, then you can come and join me at the Shepherd Center on Wednesdays at 1:15 or at Pofftown Baptist Church on Thursdays at 1 p.m. Thank you. Namaste.
Miss Ruth is one of those people that you just immediately feel relaxed when you're with her. So she doesn't just teach yoga. I think she lives it. She lives that whole presence being all the time. So anyway, thank you, Miss Ruth. And now our educational speaker is Dr. Steve Kritchevsky. And y'all may be hearing my cockatiel. This is the first time he's ever wanted to participate in Aging Well. So he's in the next room, but just so you know, he is a 24-year-old cockatiel. So he is practicing his Aging Well skills. But anyways, Dr. Kritchevsky is the co-director of the Wake Forest Sticht Center for Healthy Aging and Alzheimer's Prevention. I never miss the opportunity to say our whole name because I believe none of us could have a better mission than to promote aging well and preventing Alzheimer's. So anyway, it's my pleasure and honor to introduce my friend, my colleague, a mentor, Dr. Kritchevsky.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Deb, for that lovely introduction. And it's really a pleasure to be here with you all. I'm going to talk a little bit about some things we've learned about aging well and what choices we can make and things that we can do so that we can live our best lives. First, I'm going to take a moment to reflect on what the term aging well even means. It's something that people try to do research about. It's something that, on the other hand, is a very personal thing. Everyone has their own view of what this means, but the major dimensions that people in research have identified as very important to the overall concept of healthy aging or aging well are listed here. The first is disease avoidance, which is a sort of a biomedical view of it. Growing old without having disease is a wonderful thing if we can achieve it. Independence, which means being able to do for yourself and not needing help for others. Mostly we study mobility, the ability to move around and walk on one's own, but also cognitive independence, having enough going on upstairs to be able to do all the things one needs to do to remain independent. And in a more sociologic view, there's this idea of engagement, being engaged with others around you as being a source of happiness and satisfaction, finally, meaning and purpose. Very important. My father always used to say, you need a reason to put your pants on in the morning. So meaning and purpose in life, very, very important, if nothing else, just to get out of bed in the morning. Now, those of us in medical school tend to work on the upper left hand, disease avoidance and independence. Engagement and meaning and purpose are feature of even Aging Well. This conference is a way to be engaged and to learn. So with that, I'll go into some more details. We can start with this picture. And I'd ask people to take a look at it and see what this gentleman is doing. And ask yourself, do you suppose this gentleman is aging well? And to some extent, this picture sort of encapsulates everything we study here. Not everything, but a lot of the things we study here. And we can ask ourselves, first of all, well, he's certainly on the heavy side, isn't he? And one of the things we study is the impact of overweight and obesity on older adults. And it is a very serious, debilitating condition for older people. Over half of older adults are either overweight or obese. And this slide just illustrates all the health conditions that it's related to, so that people who are heavier have a lot of problems. The most prominent of them are heart disease and stroke and hypertension, but also a lot of pain-related syndromes and osteoarthritis, especially of the lower extremities. So we have done a lot of research here on whether older adults can lose weight safely, and if they did, would it help? And the answer is absolutely. It absolutely helps. It helps many risk factors for disease, but it can also be a strategy to remediate weight-related pain. What else? Well, he's eating a bunch of potato chips, and we think maybe that's not the best thing for you. So what can people do in terms of nutrition for healthy aging? I'm going to say this right out. There's no single food that's going to help you live forever, and there's no single food that's going to kill you. It's all a matter of balance and variety. And my favorite approach to this was in a paper that came out some time ago, where they looked at large studies of many tens of thousands of people and looked at those people who maintained the best health and those who didn't, and looked at questionnaires having to do with what they ate to answer the question, what are patterns of diet that seem to be associated with aging in a healthful way. And these are things you've heard before, but I'll just reiterate them. First, diets that are rich in fruits and vegetables and nuts and beans, legumes, that's have a good steady supply of fish oil. That's what EPA and DHA mean. Those are two kinds of oil that are found in marine foods and some others. If you're going to use oils that are liquid at room temperature. So most cooking oils, though lard and butter are not. Emphasis on whole grains as opposed to refined grains. And as I'll talk about a little bit in a bit, a little bit of alcohol, at least in these populations, seem to be associated with living healthfully, but not a lot of alcohol. A lot of alcohol is poisonous. A little bit seems to be okay. On the other hand, things that people who aged healthfully avoided or a lot of sugar sweetened beverages and fruit juices, red and processed meats, trans fat, which is a chemical way of turning oils that are liquid at room temperature to be solid at room temperature, and a lot of salt. So they didn't, relatively less salt in their diet. As people age, there are some common nutritional concerns. They don't affect everybody, but if they affect you, they can be serious. We do worry about adequate protein intake. As people get older, especially into people's 70s and beyond, people tend to reduce the total calories that they'll eat, the total amount of food they'll eat in a day. But your protein needs don't really scale to how much calories or energy you're ingesting. You need a certain amount of protein in your diet to help maintain your muscles and bones. So we recommend that people try to eat about 4 ounces of protein, high quality protein at meals. B12 is a vitamin that comes only from animal sources, and some people lose the ability to absorb that from food, but that can easily be fixed with dietary supplements that are absorbable, even if you can't get it from food. And as people get older and avoid the sun for many reasons, they can run into problems with vitamin D nutrition and can be at risk for falls or bone-related problems unless they keep their vitamin D and calcium up. So he's also sitting down and watching television. So probably the most important aspect of aging well functionally has to do with physical activity and exercise. And I call them somewhat differently. So this is a sort of a poster child for, this is a person who loved to weightlift, John Turner, and here he is at 63 and 79. And I never looked like that at any time in my life, so I'm a little bit jealous of this guy. But the point is, exercise is very important. And so there's exercise, and then there's just being active. And I'm going to distinguish between the two. So exercise is purposeful. You do it usually in 30-minute to an hour doses. It's usually relatively high intensity or moderate to high intensity. And this could be walking at a high pace or doing some weightlifting or sports. And that's associated, probably more reliable than any other thing we study in aging, that people who do exercise maintain the ability to walk and have many other health benefits. And we see that across the board from study to study to study. So clear you should do it. The recommendation is that people do the volume is about 150 minutes a week. So 3 50-minute sessions of moderate to high intensity exercise. Moderate intensity means it's kind of hard for you. It's not a stroll in the park. It's someone, I heard this once, I don't know if it's exactly true, but you're walking fast enough so you can talk, but not so fast that you can whistle. So might be a way to think about the intensity. But there's also moving around. So if you do your 150 minutes a week, and that's great, credit to you, but every other moment of the every day, you're sitting watching television. Yeah, the exercise you do is not an antidote to that. And long periods of being sedentary or sitting or lying is its own health risk that is not cured, or a few bouts of exercise a week is not an antidote to that. And several of my colleagues are doing many studies right now to fully understand the importance of just getting up and moving around several times in the morning and afternoon, and just sort of getting your body up and moving many times during the day as a way to expend some energy, and also just to help your body do what it's supposed to be doing. So the final thing is he's alone. So I'm going to take a little segue now and talk about a book that's very influential in gerontology and aging. It's called The Blue Zones. Now, the term Blue Zone first appeared in the National Geographic in 2005 as a cover story, and the person who wrote the article identified these 5 areas where people live statistically the longest in the world. And the article was about visits to those places to try to understand what was different about those places than everywhere else that might help all of us learn how to organize ourselves to live longer and healthier lives. And these are Okinawa in Japan, Sardinia, which is an island off the coast of Italy, Nicoya, Costa Rica, Cara, Greece, and Loma Linda, California, among the Seventh-day Adventists in Loma Linda. So Dan Buttner was the author of that. I've heard him speak. It's really fun to listen to him. And he identified 9 things that people tend to do. Not everyone does all of these. Not every blue zone does all 9 of them, but these are some threads of commonality that are associated with good health at older ages. And we've already talked about several of these. Moderate, regular physical activity we've talked about. We've talked about healthful diet. One thing I didn't talk about, and I sort of alluded to it when we're talking about obesity, is that many of these areas people eat well, but they don't overeat. So for example, in Okinawa, the way they serve food is to prepare plates in the kitchen and bring plates out when people eat. They don't have bowls of food on the table that people can serve themselves from. So whether or not that was done with the purpose of helping maintain weight, it does help meter and modulate the calories are people taking. So at least when Dan Buttner visited him, obesity was a very, very rare thing. In fact, obesity is very rare in any of these places. I tell people that if nothing else, you should eat enough calories to keep the weight you're at and avoid gaining weight at the very least. And so keep those. And in many of our databases, when we look at it, the people who are going to are at high risk for functional problems are either those people who are losing a lot of weight and they don't know why, or people who are gaining a lot of weight. So if you can do it, it's a great idea to if you're at least hold the line at whatever weight you're at. We talk about dietary patterns. Many of these cultures have a plant-centered diet. It's not necessarily a vegetarian diet, though the Seventh-day Adventists are vegetarian, but many of the other places aren't. But they don't use meat as the centerpiece of the meal. They use other foods, either vegetables or starches, as the center of the meal, and they use meat more as a condiment, as a flavorant, than as a major focus of it. And moderate alcohol intake, especially wine, is very important, and especially wine that's consumed either as part of occasions or a part of meals. Very little drinking outside of that context in those cultures. So we had a great presentation on yoga, and all of these, or I wouldn't say many of the, but many of these areas have some stress reduction built into their day. It could be prayer, it could be a tradition of walks, long walks during the day, it could be meditation, but all the taking time out to pull back from the grit of the day and recenter oneself seems to be very common across these zones. So the next area is engagement. Engagement in family life, engagement in social life, engagement in spirituality and religion. And most of the areas that are blue zones, the families are multi-generational, and everyone in the house has a role to play in the conduct of the house. So everyone is engaged. There are people who are not, older people are not doing as strenuous work as they used to, but they all have something meaningful and productive to add, either for their family or for their community. And finally, as I alluded to early, life purpose. I don't, how one finds this is up to really the individual. Often purpose is found in the service of others. And I saw a presentation by a prominent social scientist at one of my conferences, and he was getting an award, and he looked to see what was it about people who seemed to be doing very well as they age? What were their characteristics? And he found three. One was they forgave easily and without expectation of a reward for forgiveness. They developed a lot of compassion, and they did things for others. And these were the people who seemed to in his studies, seem to be doing best as they age. So back to the beginning for aging well, really that's up for each person to decide for themselves what they want. But we talked about disease avoidance. Hypertension is very important, and it's controllable both with diet, exercise, and medication. Medication is very effective. My colleagues here at Wake Forest and Jeff Williamson and his colleagues have recently published a paper showing that in older people, the good control of hypertension is actually associated with lower levels of progression to mild cognitive impairment and Alzheimer's disease. And this was a very rigorous study, and it was very exciting because it was really the first demonstration of any intervention that could actually prevent the development of mild cognitive impairment or Alzheimer's disease. So obesity management, management of other cardiometabolic risk factors, very important. Diet and exercise, and especially exercise and physical activity and being active, are really critical to independence and doing for yourself. And when people do surveys of older people, it's really the fear of being dependent on others and being burdens to others are some of the things that many older adults fear more than even getting many diseases. And so independence is connected to disease avoidance, but it's also connected to engagement and meaning and purpose. The most debilitating symptom in older people is pain, and mostly lower extremity pain. And I worked with one of my colleagues, Amber Brooks, to look at some data where we actually had data on meaning and purpose in life, and people who rated themselves highly on the meaning and purpose scale tended to report less pain than others. So not sure which direction that goes, But I do feel that people who have something they want to do will find ways to do that, and that promotes a feeling of independence and engagement. So on the horizon, so these are all behavioral things that people can do, or medical things. And there's a whole new area that's sort of blossoming up that we're getting very active in at the Sticht Center, and maybe some future talk I can tell you a little bit more about that specific area, but I'll give you a hint about it. There's an area developing called geroscience, and it's a new way of thinking about age-related health conditions. So when you think about the things that we fear most about getting old in terms of diseases, things like Alzheimer's disease or stroke or heart disease or cancer, their strongest risk factors are, for the strongest risk factor for each of them is age. And it's the risk factor is age by a whopping margin. So it's much more important than cholesterol. It's much more important than smoking in terms of just the numeric impact of it. And so there have been advances over the last 25 years in the biology of aging that have led us to understand that aging has a biology. It is inevitable in a sense, but it also, there's a biology underpinning it. And that one can intervene in this biology, and through those interventions, at least in animal models right now, we can extend the lifespan and health span of many, many different kinds of animals. And so lifespan, as people understand, health span just means we can delay the onset of many diseases that occur in animals, sort of proportionate to the amount that we can extend their lifespans. And this was summarized, this whole area was summarized in a National Geographic documentary that was produced by Ron Howard, that appeared a few years ago, in a series called Breakthrough, which was featuring 10 ideas that would change the world in that decade. And the fourth episode was called The Age of Aging, and that this is available on the internet. So I encourage anyone to go look at it. It involves many friends of mine are featured in that documentary. And we're wondering if in 3, 5, 10 years, we won't have pharmacologic approaches that we can actually slow the aging process a little bit, and thereby help everyone prevent many, many diseases. So key points, only you know what aging well means. Just because your doctor says it's a problem doesn't mean it necessarily is, but it's really up to you. And everyone should know that good choices with the people's behaviors and good environments increase your chances of aging well. There's no certainty in any of this. It's all a little bit of a crapshoot. And even people who do everything right, some of those people can have bad outcomes. And we all know stories of people who've been smoking and drinking their whole lives and seem to get to 80 just fine. But those are the exceptions. The rule are the ones that I've shared with you. This is very important. Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Many people feel like if they can't change to be the perfect way they should be, it's not even worth doing anything. And if anything, our research shows that any amount of change, even if it's anything in the right direction, will be somewhat helpful. And finally, it's never too late to start. And we've seen there are several examples in our literature of exercise interventions being started in people in their 90s, and people in their 90s can get stronger, and the benefits of exercise are the same as they are in younger people, in that people feel better, and they can move around better, and they can become stronger and can do more things. So the last point I would like to say, all that we've learned because we've had wonderful community support in participating in some of the studies that we do. And so if you get a postcard from the Sticht Center, please take a look at it and see if that is something you'd be interested in. We'd love to have you participate in one of our studies. So that's all I have, Deb. And so we can go from there.
So we have had some great questions that have already come in. So I think you're going to be happy with the first one is, how can I learn more about getting involved with your studies?
Well, you can talk to Deb first of all, because she helps us get the word out. We have a vital newsletter that is free, and you can contact Deb and she'll get you on the list, and we'll send you one right away. And that lists all our current studies, and we do a lot here. We've got a lot of things going on. So just take a look at that and see if there's anything that strikes your fancy.
And just to let y'all know, I will send you an electronic version of the latest Vital newsletter with the notes from this meeting. So everybody will get that. So that's great. We've had another question, red or white wine, and how many glasses with dinner?
Okay, well, there was when I was in graduate school, this was going back a way, there was a article that came out called The French Paradox, which is why the French could eat all this great food and not have all the heart disease that everyone else has. And they attributed it to red wine. So everyone got very excited about red wine. But as we've learned subsequently, it doesn't seem to be that important what color your wine is. There are some things in red wine that hypothetically might be a little better for you, but the amounts are so minuscule, it really doesn't matter. I mean, those compounds, you'd have to concentrate them and put them in a pill, and then they might be okay for then it might have some effect. So I think whatever you like better, I'd say, one glass. I mean, I think if you and it's a little bit depending. For men, two drinks a day seems to be fine. For women, it's probably closer to one, because women are a little, on average, smaller, and there is an effect of how big your body is. So somewhere in those ranges. But if you don't like alcohol, there's no problem with that. Like I said, this is all a little bit of a probabilistic thing, and so and if you don't like to drink, doesn't mean that you're going to be in any trouble whatsoever. It just means, I think, if you're happy or not doing it, you shouldn't do it.
Okay, so another question. Have you seen an increase in anemia since people are not eating as much red meat?
I don't know. That's a really good question. I haven't seen any national surveys that suggest that that's true. And I suppose we could do a search of the medical records, the electronic health records here, to see if there are more anemia diagnoses. But that's an interesting thought, and I wish I'll go look. see if I can figure it out.
And if you find out anything, just let me know, because I can let everyone on this webinar know.
Great.
All right, so let's see, do you have to be local to participate in studies?
Generally you do, because so it depends. I mean, so a typical study might involve coming to be evaluated by our staff to see if you qualify for a particular study. And then if you're willing to come to Winston-Salem 2 or 3 times a year, there are a lot of studies you could participate in without having to be in the area. Now, if you were in Arizona, I think that probably would not work. But we have people in studies ranging from South Carolina to Virginia and all the way east to past Raleigh and stuff, because we're doing a study on something they're very interested in, and it's the only opportunity for them. So if it's a very intensive study working with a coach and stuff, that tends to have to be local because it's really hard to deliver that remotely. So.
How old is too old to be in a study?
Well, studies each have their own age range. The one we're doing one now called SOMA that has no upper age limit at all. And I think our oldest participant in that is 93, maybe 94. The funder of a lot of our studies is the National Institute on Aging, which is an agency of the federal government. And they're part of something called the National Institutes of Health. And the current guidance is that you should have no upper age limit on your studies unless you have a really good reason. We try not to have an upper age limit, but sometimes there are scientific reasons why there has to be.
Any chance of bringing a study to Davie County?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's really a matter of people in Davie County willing to meet us here. So like I said, what I mentioned on the question about can people can people who don't live here participate, goes for Davie County as well. Mm-hmm. Probably, sure, if you're willing to come and visit Winston several times a year, then fine. Yeah, no problems.
And at what point does blood pressure become too low?
Oh, I don't know a cutoff because we spend so much time worrying about hypertension. I think if you're concerned about it, you might call your doctor's office and ask that question. I thought I saw Dr. One of our colleagues on the had signed up, and I thought maybe she could put something in the chat about that. Yes, Dr. Cleveland, maybe she could put a thought in the chat on that. I'm not a physician, so I try not to be too medical in my answers. So.
And I'm trying to look very quickly to see if she has. I don't see it, but what we'll do is we will follow up because we are out of time. I was pretty sure we were going to have an animated Q&A part to this because we all want to age our best. And like Dr. Kritchevsky said, we're not defining what that looks like. We just want to help you age your best. And actually, Dr. Cleveland did just weigh in. She said, probably want your systolic blood pressure to be over 110. So again, I really would agree with what Dr. Kritchevsky said about have this conversation with your physician. But I just want to thank you. It always surprises me how quickly this hour just flies by. You know, we're always so excited to present to you the latest and the greatest. And thank you, Dr. Kritchevsky, for being a part of this and for empowering us all.
I mean, I love to do it, and we're doing what we do for this audience.
Yep.
It is interesting and very satisfying, but ultimately, if we're not helping people, we shouldn't have started in the first place. So
I agree.
I'm really glad to have this opportunity.
Well, I want y'all to make a date to be here with us again on September 14th, second Tuesday from 5:30 to 6:30. And we are going to have Dr. Tim Hughes. He is an associate professor of internal medicine at Wake Forest Baptist Health. We're going to be talking about healthy aging and your memory, what's normal. So I know for a fact, I've heard him speak before. It's going to be a great presentation. And once again, my husband's going to be doing the cooking. So you know what? At least I know that I'll be eating well after that presentation. So thank you. Be well, be safe, and hope to see you around town. Thanks so much.